Hello guys, in the last video we looked into an example of car service station as an example of visitor pattern. Visitor pattern will help us to add behaviors or algorithms to an existing object without touching the actual object or without modifying the actual object itself. We will be able to add dynamic behaviors to the object, frequently changing behaviors or frequent addition or modification or deletion of behaviors or algorithms to the object without touching the object as well. That is the main use case of visitor pattern. Last time we looked into the car service station example. In this video we will look into another example of hospital system. The car service example is a similar example which is available in Wikipedia Java example. That is what I have followed and modified certain things on top of it, but this is an example which I have come up with. This hospital management system is an example which I thought of and came up with an explanation to it. So let us look into how we have implemented visitor pattern in terms of hospital. Consider a hospital system, a hospital has different wards. For example, there is a ward, a normal ward, there is a OP ward, there is a emergency ward, there is an operation theatre ward, there is a critical unit ward. So there are different wards are there, and there are different people who provide different set of services to the wards. For example, doctor is a person who provides certain set of services like medical administration, right? Doctor is a person who administers drugs, who does performs the surgery, who does do the visit to the patients and prescribes drugs. Dietitian is another person who visits a similar set of wards, but they provide what the person has to eat, how the person has to be fed, what are the times that they have to eat, how they have to take care of the health to provide properly. They prescribe certain set of foods so that the healing is done faster. The other person that we can think of is nurses. So they go and give proper medicines to the patients at particular point of time, and they monitor the health and records the status of their health. The other person that goes to the ward is a janitor. Goes and visits the ward and then cleans it. There are a lot of people who goes and visits these wards, but ward remains ward. So what are we going to look into it? So we have to add dynamic functionalities to a ward without changing what ward does. What will a ward contain? A ward will contain a ward name, and ward will contain a list of patients. So the patients may come to get admitted, get discharged. So that is the that's the role of a patient, and a ward will accommodate certain set of patients with certain set of ailments. What are the other people who provide services to the ward? That is what we have explained. A dietitian, doctor, janitor, nurse, the other person that we can think of is the pharmacist. They provide drugs to the appropriate parts. So the algorithms that are going to get added, modified, are those people who are providing services. The underlying object that we are going to look into or it is going to accept these algorithms or the words. So this is the example that I have come up with for visitor pattern. Hope the introduction is clear before we look into the code. I once again explain what is the algorithm, where is that we have to add dynamic algorithms. It is to the wards. So the wards will remain untouched. The wards will be open for extension and closed for modification. There is no functionalities there is no modification which is going to be done on the wards, but it is open to accept many other algorithms, so that such kind of services are available in wards. For example, air conditioning person may come and visit these wards and ensure the proper set of temperatures and other things. So ward remains what, dynamically algorithms gets added. And since it is a hospital management system, there is something called patients. That is what we will look into it. But patients have nothing to do with the the algorithm or the visitor pattern at this point. For this example, I have just included patient so that the hospital contains all these three. So patient is an entity which is little independent, and that's not the entity which will be touched as part of visitor. The underlying visitable is what? The visitor is the or the people who are going to visit the ward: doctor, nurse, service technician, pharmacist, janitor. They are called visitors. The visitable is the ICU ward, general ward, OP ward, or whatever it is. Hope the introduction is clear. Since we have the if we have the introduction clear, then it is easy for us to look into the code. I would recommend, if there is a confusion, just pause this video at this point of time, go ahead and replay this video from the start, so that the introduction is very clear. So here, what is that which is visitable? Let us look the visitable first. A visitable has an interface called word, and it has a name. Nothing more than that, because for us to have a basic understanding of it, these properties are more than enough. So when it comes to a proper implementation, as I explained or as I touched based upon what is design pattern just provides a template to it. It doesn't go and solve every other use cases of it, right? Since we are going to just look into the template part of it, and by taking a real world example, right, that is also good to look into a real world example rather than looking into very abstract examples. I thought of providing some concrete examples. One is the car service station, which anybody will be able to understand, and the hospital management system that people will be able to understand. So these are the two examples that I thought of taking it up and explaining, so that things will become clear. So the visitable is what? It contains a name and it accepts a visitor. Any visitable should have a method called accept. That is the most important thing in terms of visitor pattern. A visitable should have a accept, and the visitor will implement concrete implementations of what is that they have to do, what are the services they are going to do. When I visit this place, what will I do? When I visit this place, what will I do? So the visitor is an interface which provides the algorithm, and the visitable is the class, or is it the interface which is going to accept the visitor. So they might be able to accept any type of visitor who is of type ward visitor. So that is what is the problem statement. So let us look into first the emergency ward. Emergency ward implements a ward. It has a name and it has a list of patients, right? Every ward will have list of patients, and then it accepts a visitor, ward visitor. The next is a general ward. The template remains the same across all wards. Every ward has list of patients and a ward name, and it accepts a visitor. When it contains a name, and what is the name? So I'm just returning a general ward as a name. It may be different floor, it may be in different locations. All these things can be modeled later or added to it, because we are not going to solve the hospital management solution for explaining the design pattern. So it is good to touch base on what is what, right? So that is why I just used relevant terms so that the example remains intact. So these are the two types of wards. The other is ICU ward. ICU ward also has list of patients, what is the name of it, and it accepts a visitor, ward visitor. Okay. Patient, since we are looking into the patient, just let us look at it. The patient as a class is not going to play a bigger part in this visitor pattern, but since we have put the patient, we just look into it. It has a name, what is the treatment which is prescribed to the patient, but what is the date of admission. These are the properties which will be set. That is it. Beyond that, there is no role of this patient. Okay, let us look into the visitor. Who is a visitor? Let us look into doctor, because we are going to accept a ward visitor. A doctor is a visitor, right? So let us look into ward visitor. What is a ward visitor? A ward visitor will visit a general ward. Ward visitor will visit a emergency ward. Ward visitor will visit a ICU ward. So if let us look into doctor. So doctor is a ward visitor. What he is doing? Doctor is going and visiting a general ward. For each patient in the general ward, the doctor is going to treat the patient, prescribe a medicine which is called say treatment. Okay, take this medicine, consume this medicine, prescribed medicine one, we can say that. And then they are saying that prescribe this medicine to this patient. That's what he is doing. Similar is the functionality for emergency ward as well. He goes and visits every patient, prescribes some medicine, come out. I see what the doctor goes, prescribes some medicine, and then comes back. These are the three wards which a doctor is visiting, and then providing certain kind of functionalities. For example, in terms of emergency ward, he will not just do prescribe the medicine. They may he may do some kind of therapy also. So these are the things that we can add to it, because consider this is an algorithm. This is an abstract algorithm. So we can enhance this algorithm to provide lot of functionalities, and the purpose is not to add functionalities here, right? The purpose is to make you understand how visitor pattern fits here. How can you think of using this visitor pattern as a template in terms of several solutions? That is the main idea behind this problem. So whatever you want, you may add set treatment of prescribing. One more treatment we can add, therapy. Take this. Such kind of thing we can add. I forgot. Okay, let us go into the next person, who is a dietitian. Dietitian is also a ward visitor, am I right? So the dietitian as a person goes and visits these wards. As when the dietitian goes to the general ward, they prescribe this take these proteins and vitamins, right? Because a person coming out of one ward and from an ICU ward to a general ward, they might have to recover fast, and they might have developed the capacity to take in some healthy foods also. The dietitian prescribes proteins and vitamins for general ward person. For emergency ward person, they are saying that okay, you might have to heal faster, so take more proteins. The dietitian who says the emergency ward, he says that okay, please don't take any food, you will be only on fluids. So such kind of things we can think of. The dietitian is also a ward visitor. So if the dietitian, irrespective of the wards, the dietitian visits all the wards. The next person that we need to think is janitor. The janitor also visits all the wards, am I right? So the janitor will go and visit the emergency ward. He does cleaning, he will sanitize it. The level of cleaning may be would be they might use additional sanitizers in emergency ward or in the ICU ward. They might use a different set of prescribed sanitization in general ward. So such kind of the cleanliness has to be maintained at higher quality in ICU wards. So the algorithm changes here, right, whenever they visit certain things. So what it does, so a general ward is a general ward, but it is visited by every other person. So what are we doing it here? We are adding functionalities or algorithms to the underlying wards without touching the wards. These functionalities are getting added to the wards, but is it going and modifying the underlying wards? No. So this is the purpose of visitor pattern. Visitor pattern helps us to hook up dynamic functionalities to the underlying base class. These functionalities may be totally non-related. For example, janitor is a ward visitor. The person does a totally different job. A doctor is a ward visitor. Doctor does totally a different job. Dietitian does a totally a different job. These kind of functions. For example, in terms of when it comes to emergency situations, a municipal officer may come and visit and do the ward inspection. Okay, he will do whether the quality standards are met. He's the municipal person or the government official who comes and from the health department. They will go and visit a ward. This is he or she, the municipal person or the government authority is a ward visitor. But what that person does, he does just an inspection. The hospital person who is the local quality inspector, he does a different inspection. So such kind of algorithms can be added on top of these kind of wards without touching the underlying. For example, tomorrow government may come and say that okay, you might have to do this on all these wards. You might have to spray some kind of things so that the spread of diseases has to be controlled in terms of pandemics. That can be easily added to wards without touching the ward. So we can hook up as many algorithms as we want to the underlying objects without modifying that. This problem is solved by visitor pattern. So here we are able to justify how we can use visitor pattern, or we are able to understand how can we use visitor pattern with in terms of this hospital management solution. Okay, let us look into the main, which is important, right? So we are creating instances of visitables. Ward, general ward is a visitable, emergency ward is a visitable, ICU ward is a visitable. We are adding set of patients to the visitable because doctor is prescribing, doctor is providing treatment. Doctor is providing treatment. Dietitian is prescribing certain type of diets. Janitor cleans it. So we need to understand. We need to add patients to it because patients are there in these wards. And then we are creating a doctor who is a visitor. Doctor's name is this, dietitian name is this. We are going and adding, hooking up the functionality to the ward here. Visitor to a visitable is associated here. Accept is the method which ensures that anybody who is providing certain set of functionalities which this algorithm is accepted by this. So the accept is the one which hooks up between the visitor and the visitable, which is very important. So we ensure that general ward is accepting a physician, ICU ward is accepting a physician, emergency ward is accepting a physician. Similarly, general ward not accept a dietitian. I don't want to hook up with other wards, so I am just leaving it. Similarly, we can put general ward dot accept janitor. So we have to create, right? GI janitor equal to new janitor set. So okay, name is not that, doesn't matter. Janitor, general ward dot accept janitor, emergency ward dot accept janitor, ICU ward dot accept janitor. Okay, so we can add things like this. Copy this, because after dietitian we can put a line which will ensure that we will be able to read it. So here we are hooking up the dietitian to only one ward. The other wards does not need as of today, so we don't hook it. So but a janitor has to visit all the 3 wards. So implementation also we are hooking up on the fly. And then let me run this and show. Run. Okay, excellent. Let's walk through it. Okay, so here so first doctor visits the general ward, prescribed this person with this medicine, and then treated the second patient, prescribed that medicine. Then the doctor goes to ICU and treated, and then general ward treated, and then dietitian goes to general ward, provided this kind of diet. Dietitian visits the patient to prescribe this diet with so and so. Janitor does not visit the patients, right? Because if you see, the entire algorithm changes here. Doctor has an algorithm to visit patients in that ward. Dietitian might visit or might not visit, but let us say the dietitian visits every patient in a particular ward, but janitor doesn't visit any person. They go and do a different algorithm. So these algorithms need not be related at all, but we are adding dynamic functionalities to the underlying visitors. This is the purpose of visitor pattern. I hope things are clear. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. The source code is available in GitHub repository. You can go ahead and take a look into it. Pause the video, understand the requirement once more, You look into the source code, trace through the source code, you should be able to understand it. We need to remember that there is a method called accept, which bridges between the visitor and the visitable, and every visitor will have a different set of algorithms on which is written on top of visit. They take the concrete objects and then they do certain kind of algorithms on top of it. So that is the visit. So this is how visitor pattern works. Visitor pattern adds dynamic hooks of algorithms to the underlying objects without altering the objects itself. Okay, thanks for your time. Till we meet next time. Bye.